So, good morning. I've been in the business, if you like, of being in business since a youngster, and I really only focus on two areas, which is WIBOs and what I call WITs, which is working it until it's ready to sail. So, a slight variation on the WIBO. But to give you a little bit of background, I left school at 15 because I had a couple of badges they give to the kids now, which fortunately they didn't back in the 70s, which was dyslexia and ADD. So I've got the attention span of a gnat. So having left that, the only course that I had was to hustle. So I was very fortunate in that my parents had given me a motorcycle, and so everything revolved around Sundays. So I was hustling to get the monies for us to go and ride dirt bikes on a Sunday. So in leaving school, this is the back end of the 70s, something came out called a mountain bike, wasn't mountain bikes around, opened a small mountain bike shop, and about 18 months into that, the local chain of bicycle shops had approached me and bought the business. And I thought, well, that's fantastic. 18 months, and I got all the joy of building it, but as soon as it was operational, the ADD kicked in, didn't really want to be in that anymore. So the fact that it was sold, I thought, well, this is a good idea, isn't it? You can start the business, build it up. When it's operational, sell it on. So that's what I did for the best part of 30 odd years. Was very fortunate in the last one that we built was called Global Eye. It was a CCTV access control company. We started in literally a tin shack in Stevenage. We ended up supplying CCTV access control to self-storage facilities from Lugano, Milan to Norway to Cork and everywhere in between, sort of thing. So 2006, 45, managed to retire, took 2 years out. ADD kicked back in, must do something else. Fortunately, the recession also kicked in. It's 2009, 10, and fortunately, because I'm a bit of a networking floozy, I'm at the opening of an envelope for all sorts of things. The phone started ringing. John, would you have a look at this? Yeah, sure. So come in. Oh, Jesus, they're on the brink of the abyss. And that's how I fell into turning companies round. So for the best part of 10 years, from 2009 up until probably a couple of years ago, that's what I did, was turn companies around, build them up and put them on. And every year I invest in some form of training just to fill up the knowledge bank. And the Harbour Club popped up, and it was literally about 10 days before the event. I thought, well, that looks interesting, M&A. So I spoke to John Hartley, jumped onto the course and was blown away. That 3 days is just so much information that fires at you, isn't it? It's like, oh, I think I've got my head around this bit, and then you've got the next bit, and then you've got the next bit. So to be quite honest with you, after that session, I've kind of incorporated bits of it into what I was doing in mentoring business owners, but didn't really do anything with it until the online version last February, I think it was. Then the lights went on. That was a mistake, by the way, to not dive straight into it, because jumping onto the accountability session with Richard, where's Richard? He's here somewhere, isn't he? Richard, absolutely fantastic. I think down to that accountability session, working with Richard, we built 6 deals within 5 or 6 weeks. So to give you an idea, let's cut a little bit off. These were the 6 deals that we did within that first 5-6 weeks. Now, I better preface this by, I'm mentoring business owners. I'm at all sorts of networking meetings around North London and the home counties. So meeting business owners was the easy part. And to be quite honest with you, doing deals is easy. It's really easy. Because if you figure that business people kind of fall into one of 2 pots, they're either building a lifestyle business or they're building it to an exit. And the funny thing is that when you start talking to a business owner in a networking environment, so tell me, which way are you going? How will you know when you've won? And the general answer to that is, that's the answer. They don't know. They really don't. Most business owners are busy building a business, which of course is the most dangerous thing of all to do. It's far, far easier to reverse engineer it. If you know that that's the exit point, or you're building a business that's going to be a lifestyle business and this is the lifestyle that you want, but most don't actually work out what the lifestyle is. So Internetwork Media are an IT company up in Northampton. He was a client, to be quite honest, of about 5 or 6 years. And I'd met him when he was 50, and he said, look, I don't know I'm going to pay the mortgage off, and I want to retire by the time I'm 60. So that's what we were working towards. Unfortunately, within a 2-3 year period, we'd 10x'd the turnover, but more importantly, we'd 20x'd his income, and he managed to pay his mortgage off in that time. So I had a chat with Martin and said, okay, when are we getting out? And he said, 2-3 years' time. Everyone will tell you they're getting out in 2 or 3 years' time. I'm selling my business in 2 or 3 years' time. Okay, so I think the trick to this is to have a chat with a prospective business owner, and I always have 4 questions that I ask them. And the first one is, what is it you are reverse engineering? When do you want to get out of this thing? That's the first question. Because that question leads on to a whole conversation around, well, I think I want to do this and hopefully I'll do that. And there's all these nebulous ways of describing the fact they don't know. They don't know what they want. So that's kind of our job, is to make that a bit more visceral for them, to bring it all into sharp focus for them. Datum, in fact, we'll talk about datum. So the print industry, as we all know, has really took a nosedive over the last 10 years because of that move to the digital age. So there are print companies that are 20 and 30 years old going out of business pretty much on a daily, weekly basis. And Datum were no different, really, in so much as that they were formed in 2001. Coming up to about 2 years ago, they were turning over about 1.2, 1.3, and it really started to hit them hard. And what they were finding, most of their work was in graphic design, not the actual print side of it. So as we were starting to head towards the back end of 19, going into 2020, it was looking dire. Their overheads are huge. They've got these Heidelberg print machines that are like £1 million a pop. The running costs of all the machinery, the running costs of all of staff costs and all the rest of it meant that they really were heading towards insolvency. So that's when I'd met these guys. So this was kind of pre doing the Harbour Club course, and I joined them really as a mentor, how to turn the thing around. What was really clear was we could, through the numbers, we couldn't turn that round easily, so we had to Phoenix it. So that's exactly what we did. We Phoenixed the company and got rid of all of that overhead, all the machinery, all the leases, all the overheads, and we took them out of a factory unit and we put them into offices. And so from their main focus being print, we turned that to graphic design and promotional design. That was the key thing, was to move away from the print, because we can outsource the print and get that in at a fraction of the cost. So their main clients are SMEs, but all the way through to global brands as well. So their clients are actually pretty nice clients. They do a lot with Bollinger, Adidas, everything from the small guys right through to the big guys. They've got some absolutely killer client bases. So all the SWAT shops throughout the UK that had all the 007 that you may have seen, promotional stuff when the film came out, that was the guys at Datum. So we took them to one side and we go back to the 4 questions that I always ask everybody. What is it that you guys really, really want? That's the first question. What do you guys really, really want? And that's a very simple question, but it can be like a 2-hour conversation. And I'm okay with having a 2-hour conversation because I figure that the more time I spend with them, the more I'm going to get into rapport, the more I'm going to find out about them. And I think if I ask you enough questions about what it is that you want, I'll find a way I can help you to get there. So this is really kind of the groundwork for doing all the deals and all the different types of deals. So what they really wanted to do was, they don't want to exit it. They just want to build a lifestyle business, which kind of comes back to the first thing that I mentioned to you. It's either you're trying to build a lifestyle business or you're trying to build a business to an exit. So these guys want a lifestyle business. And what they want to do is build it to $1 million EBIT by December of 25. So I said, okay, no problem, we can do that. We just got to get really focused on it. So the first thing we had to do was re-engineer the model. And as part of that, the fastest way for to grow that is to go and get everybody, i.e. their competitors, client bases, and reverse them into them. So that's what we've done. So the first one that we did, coming back to the deal structure that I said to him, I said, well, look, tell you what we do. Rather than just pay me as a consultant, why don't I take a stake in the business, okay? And I'll get you to that million by December of 25. And this is the point. I think you need to be quite emphatic of what it is that you're going to achieve. You need that focus because that creates gravitas. And honestly, it's not experience that they buy into, it's gravitas. So if you can stand and say, look, I'm going to get you to exactly where it is that you want to be, they always run with it. So I've charged them £1,000 a month. I take 20% of the dividends year on year, and then this is a WIBO. So once we get it to that point, we'll revalue the company, and then that's my payday event, if you like, and I'm kind of out. I've got a funny feeling that during the journey, this will turn into a whole other deal, because that's just how it works, isn't it? So coming back to the first acquisition, they come from different places. They're not always where you think they are. So these guys, every business is a cottage industry, isn't it? In that all the petrol guys know the other petrol guys, all of the race car guys know the other race car guys, and the engineers know the other engineers. So then they're all cottage industries. Local to Dayton was a guy, or two brothers actually, that owned the Barley group, and their packaging business has absolutely taken off. So their other three print-orientated businesses they want to get rid of because it's gone absolutely radio rental on the primary business. So what they were looking to do was really just get rid of them. And rather than just get rid of them, and this business was turning over about 600K on 3 graphic designers. Now, at the moment, you can't get staff for love nor money. So this was a perfect scenario wherein that you've got 3 graphic designers which they needed and 600K. So all we did was we bought that company for £1 and we said to the owner, well, we'll give you 20% of the net. He said, no, I want 20% of the gross. I said, no, we've got to do 20% of the net. So we did 20% of the net. So that's just added another 600K in turnover, but probably about 180 in net profit into the bottom line. So that's an easy deal, isn't it? Not all deals have to be complicated. You can really just keep it simple. So this is another deal that I've done within that first kind of 5 weeks' time with Mark Winterburn. Now, they're quantity surveyors. And as quantity surveyors, they work in a very specific area, which I'll come to in just a second. But again, they were a distressed company. The problems that they had was to do with staff rather than the actual business itself. So their clients would be anyone from Vinci and all of the main constructors, as well as they work on both sides of the fence, so to speak, the subcontractors and the main contractors. But they were going in the wrong direction because they were losing, it just wasn't efficient. That's what it was, really. So after several setbacks, that's when he sought me out through just networking, just people that I know. And this is the thing, I think, that you've probably got your next 3 or 4 deals in this thing. You already know them. You don't always have to do, and don't get me wrong, I think that you should, do all the letters and all the emails and everything else, but don't overlook this thing, because you have connections that are already connected to do WIBOs. So we rebranded Mark Winterburn, and I said, look, there isn't, and I was talking to someone just yesterday about this, I said, there isn't a national brand for quantity surveyors that look after contracting. Okay, so what happens is they're building, I don't know, let's say HS2, and they'll have 100 different contractors, and the header contractors are very good at getting the small contractors tied up in contracts that aren't good for them. So they do pre-contract evaluations. The next thing they do is when they get into disputes, where there's variations on the job, where all of a sudden it's gone from being a 2 million product to a 20 million project, so to speak. So that's exactly what these guys do. Contract appraisals, contract variations, and dispute resolutions going to tribunals. Well, all those smaller contractors, and when I say smaller contractors, if you look, there's another client that we're just looking at doing a deal with. They're about 20 million, City Brickworks, based up in Hertfordshire. Small company, but still 20 million of a business. Now, these guys are constantly in disputes with the header contractor. Is this all making sense? Yeah, I don't want to go too nerdy with this part, but so I said to him, well, okay, if our 2 main clients are subcontractors and main contractors, and these are the types of people that we're dealing with, and we're on both sides of the fence, maybe what we should do is, because there's all mama papas, there's no national network of people that support all of the subcontractors, maybe what we should do is put together all of the other specialists and wrap them in underneath the umbrella. What I'm really sharing with you is kind of a little bit of the psychology and the just core entrepreneurial business acumen to get the guy on board. So what we did was we took a 20% stake in that because there wasn't a huge amount of liquidity in it. I said, look, I'll only charge you £500 a month. We'll raise that up to 1,000 in the sands of time when we've got a certain amount of money's coming into the business. I'll take 20% of the dividends and 20% on completion. So he wants to walk away from that deal in December of 24 with 1.5 in his pocket. And in making the offer out to him, I said to him, look, if you walk away with your 1.5, do you care what I get? He said, well, no. So, okay, that's the 20% done. That's that over with, yeah. So doing WIBOs is really, really simple. So the last thing I just wanted to kind of share with you is the turnaround process, because I think once you've got the deal, you have to know how to turn that thing into a money maker. So this is my process. The very first thing really is working out the self-awareness part. What is it that we are looking to achieve? That's the holy grail. Everything is about reverse engineering that, because if you get absolute clarity on what the end goal is, creating all of the steps between where you are now and where you want it to be is easy, because you just go right from milestone 1 to milestone 2 to milestone 3 and you're off and running. Yeah. So the first thing that we do with all of those businesses, all 6 of those businesses, and we've got a few more that's just coming down the tracks at the moment, is look at the financial playbook. And I always look at it, because I'm a very simplistic person, I just work out a playbook, a plan, if you like. So we do the financial engineering first. Where's it spending its money? Where's the real money? Where are we earning serious money? So how can we just jet propel this thing? The next thing we do is create the business playbook, which has 2 S's. And then the sales playbook. I can't underplay the importance of having a strong sales playbook. Having a strong sales playbook is everything. because it isn't a business until you've sold something, is it? It's a great idea up to that point. So the sales component in any business is the most crucial component of all. It's a bit like a jigsaw, really. If you've got one piece missing, it doesn't work. But the sales part, for me, is really the most important of all. And as Daniel was talking yesterday about the brand earns money. The more that you can do in raising the profile of that brand, getting PR. Funny enough, we just invested in the Score app, which we're putting across a couple of the businesses because it's just a lead generator. And lead generation is absolutely everything for any type of business. I know I'm talking about just the fundamentals, but it's amazing how many people don't look at the fundamentals of building a business that works. So segmenting the database. This kind of comes back to this thing. The amount of companies that do not mine their own database blows me away. There's money in every single company's database. There's money in your database. I honestly believe that if you just pull to one side, went right the way through your phone book, right the way through your LinkedIn profile, and just said, oh yeah, there's Sheila. Yeah, I haven't spoken to her in a while. And just go down that. You'll find 20, 30, 40 names that you can just pick up the phone and call. And it's funny, the more conversations you have, the more opportunities materialise out of thin air. It's easy. So, that's it from me, short and sweet. Thank you.